AMP is a charming task that basically refines the first dispatch of cryptographic money by giving a solid installment choice through the Flexo organization. Though few would reject that cryptographic money is currently more standard than any other time in recent memory, there are as yet the people who uncertainty its security for the purpose of installment. AMP looks to console such cynics, in spite of cryptographic forms of money being in the titles like never before previously and various blockchain-based enterprises arising as of late. Numerous industry pundits have directed out that computerized cash is still yet toward follow-through with its unique transmit of turning into a prevailing installment technique. At first, it was exchange speed that forestalled BTC becoming feasible on a business scale. However, blockchains are a lot quicker now. Additionally, the issue of outrageous unpredictability with advanced cash has been addressed with the creation of stablecoins. Notwithstanding, it appears to be that security is as yet the main pressing concern keeping crypto down. And this is the kind of thing that AMP plans to correct. So is AMP going to help at last get another time of advanced finance? Or on the other hand, is this basically another excessively aggressive crypto project in a generally jam-packed space? In the accompanying AMP cost expectation for 2025 and 2030, we'll be investigating the token and precisely what it brings to the table for the business. How does AMP function? To get around the issue framed above, AMP is utilized as a sort of insurance. At the point when an exchange is made by means of digital currency, a measure of AMP tokens more noteworthy than the complete worth of the exchange being referred to is gotten into a brilliant agreement. If there is an issue with installment, the AMP held in security is offered off for government-issued money to guarantee the dealer actually gets compensated. The security AMP comes from a pool that has been marked by clients of SPEDN and Gemini Pay. Obviously, these clients get a compensation for committing their tokens. Likewise with most marking conventions, the prize is a little offer in the charges paid by shippers utilizing SPEDN and Gemini Pay. The AMP pool as of now has an adequate number of tokens secured to collateralize nearly $2 billion worth of exchanges. Is AMP a wise venture? On paper, AMP is a really great venture that takes care of an exceptionally critical issue in the realm of digital currency. It wouldn't be a misrepresentation to express that AMP can possibly give a huge lift to the take-up of digital currency as an installment choice for standard organizations and retailers. This by itself makes it a fascinating possibility for financial backers. Be that as it may, the SPEDN and Gemini Pay stages are still a lot of in their outset, and thus there isn't a lot of motivator for clients to purchase and stake AMP coin. Be that as it may, the stage has looked to alleviate this by granting those marking their tokens extra AMP while the task picks up speed. Yet again, this could make now a perfect opportunity to put resources into the undertaking. Seeing AMP's value history, most trades began posting AMP upon its send-off back in September 2020. The token began exchanging at $0.009, yet moved to 1 cent in sight-only days. Notwithstanding, this minor increase was extremely brief, and AMP coin went into decline throughout the following couple of weeks, dropping to $0.003 toward October's end. The course of AMP's cost development did, be that as it may, change before the year was out, and it had slithered back to $0.006 before the year's over. Similarly, as with most digital currencies, 2021 ended up being a really effective year for AMP. While it stayed at $0.006 for the majority of January, it flooded to $0.036 in the second 7-day stretch of February. Perhaps not a gigantic number, yet addressing development of 500%. Things took a decline in spring, with AMP neglecting to exchange higher than $0.029. However, April ended up being an alternate story, with AMP taking off to $0.062. May 2021 then ended up being a significantly more effective month for AMP, with the symbolic moving as high as $0.073 prior to dropping somewhat as the month attracted to a nearby. Strangely, while numerous tokens then kept on sliding in June, AMP took off to its unequaled high of $0.120 before the market slump hauled it down to $0.041. Notwithstanding, AMP disregarded the more extensive market slump once more and figured out how to flood to $0.077 in July. AMP kept on opposing a large part of the slump that hounded the cryptographic money market over summer 2021. Yet it at last went into decline towards the year's end, shutting December at $0.048. Obviously, the market then drooped altogether in January 2022, and this time AMP was hauled down with it, sinking to $0.027. Since the January slump, the crypto market has been intensely repressed, and numerous tokens have lost huge worth. At the hour of compassing, AMP was exchanging at around $0.009. AMP value expectations for 2025 in light of its utilization case and the developing prominence of SPEDN and Gemini Pay. It would be simple for financial backers to accept that AMP is bound for huge things. Notwithstanding, to construct a thought of what we can anticipate from AMP costs before long, it's important to go to driving crypto examiners for their estimates. DigitalCompris sees the crypto market slump persevering for quite a while to come, in any case has AMP fixed for development. Toward the finish of 2022, the token is supposed to be worth around $0.012, which would address development of around 30% on the present cost. The stage then, at that point, expects a fair piece of unpredictability across 2023. Yet when 2024 attracts to a nearby AMP could be worth as much as $0.015. Somewhere else, the economy gauge office likewise sees genuinely sluggish development for AMP coin. Its investigation recommends the token could arrive at a likely high of $0.012 before the year is over, repeating the expectation from DigitalCompris. Toward the finish of 2023, the IFA accepts AMP will exchange at around $0.011, yet when 2025 shows up, it will have recuperated and hit an expected high of $0.020. At long last, Exchanging Monsters has a more hopeful standpoint for AMP. Its information has the symbolic arriving at a likely high of $0.020 toward the finish of 2023 and proceeding to expand on this accomplishment over the course of the following 2 or 3 years. When 2025 rolls around, Trading Beasts predicts that AMP could be worth as much as $0.027, which would compare to development of around 200% on the present cost. Looking further ahead, AMP value expectations for 2030. We've presently seen AMP cost expectations for 2025. While we can likewise consider longer-term conjectures, we ought to call attention to that these are not known for their exactness, and any AMP cost expectation for 2030 ought to be considered only one potential result among quite a large number. DigitalCompris's AMP gauge go on past 2025, however the stage anticipates that things should get around 2027, with the token at long last going past $0.020 once more. It is then expected to progress forward an upwards pattern across 2028. Possibly penetrating $0.030 before at long last arriving at another unsurpassed high of $0.043 when 2030 shows up. We found another drawn-out cost gauge for AMP over on percepprediction.net. It has the symbolic developing at an extraordinary rate over the course of the following couple of years, hitting $0.064 by mid-2026 and proceeding to climb year on year. When 2030 shows up, percepprediction.net expects AMP will merit a likely high of $0.220. One more hopeful figure can be found on Coin Value Estimate. Its special